Welcome back, tech friends. My name's Gareth, this is Tech Check, and if you watched my review on the SaharaGaming P480 case a few weeks ago, you'll know that I really enjoyed doing the review, and I thought it's absolutely worth doing a full step-by-step build in it. So that's exactly what we're doing today, and we've gone for some, I would say, weird choices, but they're going to come together absolutely perfectly. So Aorus Extreme Z590 motherboard, OTT, way too expensive, but we've got one because Daniel's bought it with him. We're going to pair that with this RTX4070 Ti from Ventus, which is the MSI version. We've got the 11900K. We've got 32 gigs worth of Corsair Vengeance Pro SL RAM. We've got an A1000G power supply from MSI. We've got this 420mm cooler from Corsair, which is the H170 Elite XT. And then we've got 9 of these Pirate V2 fans. I think that's everything. Let's get on with it and I'll show you exactly how to do it. Hope you enjoy. So we'll start off, guys, and as anybody knows, best thing to do is get rid of everything that you don't actually need. For this particular part, RAM, CPU, NVMe's and your motherboard. You can always tell, guys, when something expensive because the box is bloody massive. So Z590 Aorus Extreme. Let's get a quick preview of this board because even though it's 3-4 years old now, guys, it cost an arm and a leg. Opening it up, look at that. That is a motherboard. And no, we didn't, or I didn't, but neither did Daniel pay the full whack for it. But this is an absolutely stunning board, guys. Obviously, you've got the LCD and the RGB display down there, as well as down here. It's got full shrouds across everything. You've got this active VRM cooling as well. Z590 is for like the 11th gen CPUs. So yeah, I think we couldn't do anything less than an 11900K in this particular CPU and motherboard combo. So we'll get this out, we'll get it on top of the actual box, and we'll get the CPU, RAM and the NVMe all installed, and then we'll hopefully get this installed into that P480 and it don't look out of place. So first up, guys, is the 11900K. This is actually the 11900KF. The only difference being that, guys, is the K has integrated graphics, the F does not. So you need to make sure that if you've got an F version, that you've got a standalone graphics card as well. So we'll open up our socket and you'll see the pins are actually in the socket itself because we're on Intel. So we'll carefully open up our 11900KF. And all we're going to do is match the triangle on the CPU to the triangle that's on the socket. Carefully lower this down into position. Give it a quick wiggle, and then we can lower down the retention arm and lock that back into place. When we do, this little bit of plastic here is going to pop out, crunch. There we go. And you want to keep hold of this just in case you go ahead and sell your motherboard or your socket doesn't have a CPU in, so you can protect those pins. Next up is our low profile Corsair RGB Pro SL RAM. Again, this is 3600 megatransfers per second. We've got 4 8GB sticks and it's currently running at 3600 as well, guys. So really straightforward. If you haven't installed any RAM before, all we want to do is open up all our caches. If your top row only opens and your bottom one don't force them too much or you'll actually break them. And all we're going to do is we're going to line up this notch here with the notch that's on our actual motherboard. Because we've got 4 sticks, we're going to populate each DIMM slot. If we only had 2, then we would go A2 and B2, which is the most furthest right, miss one, then populate, then miss one. Apply even pressure either side until you hear a click. Just like that, and we'll do the exact same for all 4. And there we are, guys, 30 seconds, 32 gigs worth of RAM, all installed. Let's move on to our Samsung 980 Pro. This is a 1 terabyte. It can go up to around 7,000 megatransfers, or megabytes a second, shall I say. We're going to put it on our top M.2 slot, and we need to remove these 2 screws. So we'll do that next. So we'll start off by undoing our 2 screws. And just an FYI guys, I get so many questions on which electric screwdriver this is, and this is the Wowstick 1F. I'll leave a link in the description for anyone that's interested. So we can go ahead and make sure that those 2 screws are fully undone, and then as you can see, this is a used motherboard, so we've got no plastic film. We'll take our 980 Pro. We can go ahead and place it at a 20-degree angle into our NVMe slot. There we go, and then it should rest nicely on our standoff. We can then replace the screw, which will hold it nicely in place. We can then go ahead, if it was brand new, you would remove the film before placing this particular heat shield back, and we can go ahead and screw that back into place. So there we have it guys, CPU, RAM and our NVMe all installed onto this particular motherboard. And there's not many motherboards guys out there that is as nice looking as this one. So with that being said, let's go ahead and install our motherboard into our case. As I said previously guys at the start of the video, if you've not watched already, go and have a look at the review on this particular case. I was really pleasantly surprised that a £91 case was as good as what this particular case was. Was it perfect? No, but given the cost, I think you're getting a hell of a lot of case for the money, so it offers considerable value. We just need to make sure that there's standoffs all in the correct places. So as you can see here, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We need to go ahead and install the other 3 standoffs, and we'll do that now. This is the point that if you don't have an integrated IO shield, that you put this into the case now, because you don't want to go and get these 8-9 screws installed and then have to take it all out again. So just be careful when lowering it into position. And as you can see there, that fits absolutely like a glove, which is really, really nice to see. So what we're going to do now is go ahead and install 9 of the correct screws that will make correct grounding with these particular standoffs and secure our motherboard into the case. And you don't need to go OTT guys with regards to over tightening these screws either. And there we have it guys, we've got our motherboard nicely installed into this case. And I'm going to say guys, it's like this was perfectly made, because the 24 pin perfectly lines up. And on this Aorus Extreme board, all of our connections, bar the HD audio which is down here, are all coming out of these grommets on the side. So let's get in now, either the case fans or the all-in-one. I think I'd like to get the all-in-one installed. Gives the CPU a little bit of protection, and then once that's done, we'll move on to installing 4 fans here, 4 at the bottom, and 1 rear exhaust fan, so 9 in total. These particular coolers already come with their Intel brackets or mounting brackets already installed. All we need to do guys is make sure that we've got our correct mounting hardware. Now for the Z590 platform, we need LGA1200. We also need our Intel back bracket, which we've got here. We've also got here the screws along with the washers to be able to screw from outside the case, holding in the radiator at the top of the case as well. So all I've done there guys is I've held our all-in-one. I've pulled all of our cables through to the back. The next step I'm going to do is actually just remove this little bit of 3M tape off the back here, and we're going to place this through the cutout on the back of the motherboard. There we have it. And then once you've got it in, if you just press down, that 3M tape will keep that Intel back bracket in place. So if you put a little bit of pressure from the inside, it doesn't just pop out. We'll turn our attention to our actual cooler now. So very, very straightforward. What we're going to do is we're going to put some thermal paste. In this instance, it's Thermal Grizzly Cryonaut. We're going to put a little dot in the middle of the actual CPU. If you want to make a smiley face, play noughts and crosses, feel free to do whatever you want to do. But essentially, just make sure if you've got a brand new cooler, when you're applying the actual cooler, you remove this cover. Sometimes they also have a plastic sheet over the top as well. Make sure that you remove that also. And that's absolutely sufficient there, guys. You don't need to go OTT with this. Now that I've got our thermal paste in place, you'll see we've got our 1151 or 1200 standoffs all we're going to do with these standoffs is screw one into either corner. And you're just going to do that exact same thing, guys, all the way around. Again, doesn't need to be mega tight. Just make sure that you've got the standoff screwed all the way in. Place our cooler over the top of those standoffs, like so. And then we're going to screw it down with the 4 thumb screws. Last thing to do, guys, now we've got our thumb screws tightened down onto our actual cooler, is we've got our 3-pin, which goes onto our CPU header. And then we've got our 24-pin, which goes through the back of the case and plugs into our commander core, which we'll come on to a little later on. So we'll go ahead now, guys, and attach our CPU fan header, and then we'll try and hide this cable as best we can. So we've now pushed our cable through to the back. Our CPU fan cable is connected to our header on there as well. I think the next logical thing, guys, is to get all of the cables in and the fans in, so we can have a look at where we're going to route these particular cables. And not only that, but we've got 2 here, 2 here, 4 at the bottom, and then 1 at the rear as well. And what we're going to be doing is using these Pirate Turbo V2s from SaharaGaming P480 case. I think the or V2 case fans will look really nice as well. So we'll go ahead and get these installed now. Very straightforward, guys. 4 screws. Obviously, from the front ones, we're going to be installing them through the front of the case and installing the back. These ones at the side, we're going to have to install through the back of the power supply unit. And that's the big point here. If you are putting 2 fans here, make sure that you install the fans before you install your power supply, because if not, you'll have to take it out and do it all over again. And likewise at the back, we'll put the fan inside the case and screw from outside inwards. Exactly the same for the bottom as well. So we'll be back very shortly once we've got these 9 fans all installed. Now we've got our 2 fans at the front, 2 fans at the side, 4 fans at the bottom, and this rear fan in place. Now we've got our 4, 8, 9 fans included, and then we've got our 3 140mm at the top. What we're going to do now, guys, is we're going to secure down our radiator to give our rear fan and our all-in-one tubes plenty of room, utilizing all of the screws and actual washers. And then we're going to move on to the actual power supply. So next up, guys, is our power supply. And for the ones that were paying attention at the start, this is the MPG A1000G from MSI, ATX3, 10-year warranty, gold rated, 1000 watt, fully modular power supply. It's, as I said, ATX3, so it's quite a small form factor for 1000 watt power supply, and it does come with our 12 volt high power connection, as well as a nice set of cables as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to install this into the back of the case, and then that nicely sits behind this door, and all of the cables can be nicely cable managed. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead, we'll take out the cage, we'll connect it to our power supply. I'll go ahead, connect all of the power cables, and then we'll get it installed. So all we've got to do, guys, is attach our 4 power supply screws to the bottom of our power supply unit here. Now, because this power supply is going at the bottom of the actual case down here and at the back, we have got our power button, which is down here, but don't worry, there is a cutout down the bottom of here as well. SaharaGaming has already thought of that. We just want to make sure all our cables are nice and flat, like so. And you don't matter about turning it on or off, but what does matter is that we go ahead and actually connect our power cable before we go ahead and install it. And we also want to make sure that the fan is facing outwards. Line this up, move the cables out the way, and then we can screw this back into position. And once all these cables are nicely routed, this will sit over that power supply, and then all your cables either in the back of here or at the back of this particular case as well. I think the smartest thing for me to do here is I'm going to remove one of these SSD trays because we're not going to require it. And then I'm going to place my commander core just around here. And then I'm going to take my 24 pin and place it at the top. Just the grey square to the grey square, and that is effectively going to manage my all-in-one cooler. We're then going to have power via SATA power, and then we're going to have a USB 2 connection to our motherboard. So with that being said, guys, we're now going to go ahead and connect our controller here. Very self-explanatory. It uses basically a proprietary connection for this controller, and with this controller itself, it can control 10 fans, and this itself can be powered via SATA power, and then it's got a motherboard sync cable, or it comes with an RF remote as well. We'll remove another one of these SATA drives, and we're going to place our controller just up here. So as you can see, guys, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You can control your RGB via the LED, the mode, and the fan speeds via this particular controller. But as I said, what we have also got is a motherboard sync cable. That just is controlled via this 5-volt addressable connection here to a 5-volt addressable header on your motherboard as well. So it's just simply connected via the data connection, which is up there, and then directly via a 5-volt to your motherboard. So what we're going to start doing, guys, is plugging these particular fan connections into our particular hub here. And again, just make sure that they're all the way in and go all the way down from one side and then the other. So what we've done, guys, is we've connected our power supply. We've run all of the cables through to the front of the case. We've got our EPS cables, which is here. We're not cable managed anything or anything like that. But as you can see, we've got our high power voltage cable, which is there. We've still got our JFP1 cable, which is here. But essentially, what will happen is this can be then screwed down and all our cables are hidden behind this particular component here, or this gate here, once we've nicely compacted them down. We can then use the particular zip tie points to cable manage some of these as well. In terms of powering the actual controllers, we've got SATA power cables. So all we can do is go ahead and connect SATA power to these particular cables, like so. And again, we can drag those cables underneath there and put them behind here. In terms of the connections at the back, that's everything. We just need to run our JFP1, which is our power HD LED, power LED positive and negative, and then our power switch as well. So we'll run that cable through to the front, and then I'll go ahead and connect all of those cables. Next up, guys, and I did skip quite a bit of that, guys, because you don't want to see boring cable management, in all honesty. Next up is our graphics card. This is the RTX4070 Ti. Really, really nice graphics card. This is a Ventus 30C. As you can see, 30C with having the 3-fan design. Really nice backplate. Very minuscule in terms of the actual blow-through design as well. So what we're going to do is take out PCIe brackets 2 and 3. We're going to connect our 4070 Ti. Then we're going to push in our high volt power cable. And then we're going to be back very, very shortly with a last view and a test boot. And hopefully everything actually works. So guys, we've reached that really important part where the build's now complete, or so we think. We'll turn on the power button. That's not a bad sign. So make sure we've got power to the actual monitor, and let's hope that we get through to the actual BIOS. And I will say, these SaharaGaming fans, the Pirate V2s, look pretty all right, to be fair, in this case, guys. Now, I would say, and I'm going to be completely honest, whatever you do, don't get these particular fans for this case, because as you'll see, I'm running 4 fans at the bottom as intake, 2 fans at the front as intake, 2 fans at the side as exhaust, and 1 fan at the rear exhaust. We've got that 420 H170 as an exhaust at the top as well. I'm not going to go into what I've actually done to make this all work, but I don't think you'll want to actually copy what I've done. So with that being said, decent fans, Airflow's all right. Fans and RGB colours are absolutely fine, but don't get them for this particular build. But with that being said, the build experience was absolutely fantastic. Loads and loads of room. The quality of the case, thick case material. We found that out when I was cutting out the bottom of the case to fit these particular fans. The cage at the back, no problems whatsoever. Power supply, absolutely fine, fitted nicely. And as you can see, guys, it turned out really, really nice. So once again, a £90 ATX case, no problem whatsoever. 4070 Ti, 11900K with this Aorus Extreme, 32 gigs worth of RAM, and we've got a 1TB Gen 4 980 Pro in here. So all in all, thoroughly happy, guys. I hope you guys have enjoyed the video. If you have, smash that subscribe button. Don't forget to leave a like on the video as well. And don't forget to leave a comment down below. I'm here to answer any questions. Have a great weekend. Take it easy.